2012. This chat is hosted by the Asian and Asian American student community, and it's an opportunity for you to ask us any questions that you have live. So just post your questions and we'll answer them. Yeah, so I guess we just do short introductions. So I'm Shamul, I'm 12, which means that I'm a senior, and I am a neuroscience major from New York City. And I'm very involved, I'm actually very involved with the Asian American community on campus. I'm one of the Pan-Asian Community Council interns. So I've been involved with a lot of the Asian American groups on campus since freshman year. It's been a pretty big part of my life, I think, and it's really funny because I feel like both of you have also been really involved with a lot of the Asian communities on campus. So do you want to maybe introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Gavin. I'm 14, a sophomore, and I'm a government and film double major and a minor in Chinese. And I am involved in a lot of Asian groups on campus. I'm involved in the Dartmouth Asian Organization, which is sort of like a large organization that encompasses many different Asian groups on campus, and the Dartmouth Chinese Cultural Society. And I also teach kids Chinese. It's one of my fun things that I like to do. And I also write and photograph for our paper, The D.
I'm Damaris Altamarianos. I'm a 13, so a junior. I'm a double major in government and economics. And in regards to the Pan-Asian community, I've been involved with the Dartmouth Asian Organization since my first year here, and I guess outside of the Pan-Asian community, I'm involved with Link Up, which is a mentorship organization for women. I'm a violinist and the co-manager of the Dartmouth Symphony Orchestra. And I was really involved with orientation this past fall.
Yeah. So it looks like we actually have our first question, which is about if there are any good places to get Asian food on campus. And I think this is actually a really funny question because, so I'm from New York City, and so when I first got to Dartmouth, I was like, oh my God, there's like, Hanover is tiny, you know, like where am I going to eat out? Because I eat out all the time in the city. But what's really funny to me is that I feel like there are more Asian and Asian American places to eat on campus than anything else. There's Mai Tai, which is the Thai food place. There's Orient, which is the Chinese food place. There's Yama, which is a Korean restaurant. There's also Jewel of India, which is the Indian restaurant, which is so good. So that's at least 4 places right there. And also our dining hall sometimes do, like 53 Commons, which is our main dining hall, sometimes does a lot of Asian entrees. So that's always a really good place to get Asian food as well, I think.
And I think even within some of the student organizations, sometimes people will take it upon themselves to cook. So I know in the KSA, for example, the Korean Student Association, they cook a lot together. I know that oftentimes they'll send a blitz out and say, come over at this time at this place, and it's usually a kitchen in one of the dorms, or if someone has an off-campus apartment or something like that. People will cook all the time, and I think that happens more really often, actually.
Yeah, it's really fantastic also the way that the college itself, the administration also sort of encourages this, because we have an Asian Studies department, and I actually live in a Chinese language house where I have to eat at meals where we speak Chinese. We also have a kitchen, and so we have this professor at our Chinese Studies department who's really into cooking. I think every year she cooks like this massive banquet of Chinese food, and it's sort of also another one of the ways that
and I feel like the same goes for like Millen, which is the South Asian organization on campus, which a lot of times we get together and we have cooking nights with our sort of entire organization. So we'll invite all of the students who are involved, and we'll all just cook something together and like watch a movie and eat it, and it's like awesome. And it's really delicious. And I think the same goes for sort of like Al Nur, which is the Muslim Student Association on campus. And a lot of times we'll get together with community members who like when we have like potlucks, and they like bring all these like really delicious dishes and basically feed the college students. So it's like awesome.
Yeah, I think also a lot of cooking happens around different celebrations. So I think for Lunar New Year this past winter, I wasn't on campus because I had my off term, but from what I saw from emails that were getting sent out, I'm pretty sure there was a lot of cooking going on for Lunar New Year, which is really cool. Maybe Gavin, did you want to talk about like how you got into the Chinese language house, like what the process was like and what that means?
Yeah, these are really fantastic opportunities on campus to live in different kinds of communities. We have affinity houses for, I believe the Latin American Studies community, and
there's La Casa, which is like
Yeah.
the Spanish language affinity. I actually lived there for a term.
Yeah.
When I was studying Spanish, I wanted to be really immersed in it. So I think a lot of people join affinity houses for a variety of different reasons, language being a good one, or just culture, getting to meet other people. There's Foley House where your whole purpose is cooking, I think,
yeah.
community building, and the co-op.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you guys think of Dartmouth's food? I think it's pretty good. I think it's gotten better during my time here. I remember freshman year, actually, the first time I had like Indian food in the dining hall, I was like really just disappointed because like it smelled right, but it like just didn't taste right. You know, and I was just like, and I had really high standards because like my mom's an amazing cook. So I was like, you know, this just like doesn't taste right, and I'm really disappointed.
Yeah.
But like the other day, actually, I went into 53 Commons and they had Indian food, and like I was like, oh my gosh, this actually tastes good. Like I was really surprised, but I think it's gotten like substantially better during my time here, and I think we're at like a really good place with our food. But if you're not like happy with the food on campus, I think a lot of people do go out, and like the food in town's good too.
Yeah, I think also I appreciate a lot about Dartmouth's food is that they really do meet a lot of different needs, right? So my one friend has like a gluten allergy, and I know that it was really hard for him to try to figure out ways to eat. And Dartmouth is actually really, really good about those sorts of things, or even different dietary restrictions, like for vegetarians or vegans, and or whatever. I mean, there's a large range, I think, of food options, which is really nice, and it's really, I think, easy to be pretty healthy at Dartmouth. I feel like Collis is really healthy foods.
I mean, even if you wanted to cook, you can like walk to the co-op, which is sort of the supermarket like that we have closest to us, and you can walk there and you can cook with your friends, and like it's very easy, especially if you're like living off campus or if you're living in an apartment instead of just a dorm. It's like easier to kind of cook your own meals and like buy fresh ingredients, I think. And we also have a farmer's market.
Oh, the farmer's
which
market
is very
is so
exciting.
good.
So it's kind of like they set up
they
every
turn-
Wednesday, right? I think
love their
on
restaurant.
Wednesday.
Entire
So
green turns into a market.
so our entire green, which is the middle of like campus, just like turns into this huge farmer's market. And so there are all these like there's like fresh produce, there's like really delicious, like they like sell sausages, and like they sell all these like really random goodies, and so like it's really exciting.
That's when you know spring is really here. When the farmer's market's there. So do Asian students tend to hang out together? That's interesting. I think that there are the student organizations that are sort of around different different interests and different like cultural affinity interests. And I think if you're a first year student and you go to a DAO meeting, which is the Dartmouth Asian Organization, for example, you might meet some of your closest friends there. I mean, you might not, but you might. And so I think it's nice that you can meet people there and with similar like backgrounds, similar interests. And so that's a really nice thing about Dartmouth. So there are a lot of student organizations, and I think they're really strong on campus. But that said, I mean, like my group of friends is very diverse. I mean, I'm friends with a good number of Asian American students, but I also know a lot of people who are from all different backgrounds.
Yeah. I mean, I think just coming from the experience of someone who's South Asian, I didn't necessarily come from a predominantly South Asian community, but I have a lot of friends here who did, and I feel like they found their niche on campus, and like through the South Asian organization, they found a lot of friends who are South Asian and who come from similar backgrounds or who have similar values. But like, I think the really cool thing about that is that like we don't limit ourselves. So like even in our like general membership, there will be people who aren't South Asian, and like you still get to meet people who are of different backgrounds. And like even me, like I feel like I have a large number of friends who are Asian just through my involvement with the Asian American like organizations on campus. But like one of my best friends who I met on my freshman floor is not Asian at all. She's actually from New Hampshire, and she like lives an hour and a half away. You know, and she's like she'd never had like Indian food and before like she got here. So it's just like, you know, it's very different. You get to meet so many different groups of people. So you definitely should not limit yourself once you get here. And Dartmouth definitely does not force you to do that. Like it's very easy to like go in and out of groups and to like make friends all over the place.
Yeah. There was an interesting question about what if you come from a predominantly Asian community, which is actually where I lived in a Chinatown in the middle of New York City, and my high school was 75% Asian. So coming here, where the population is, I believe, is it 25% Asian now?
20.
Around the 20s, it was a very stark contrast. And I'll admit, it did take some time for me to adjust to talk to different people. But I think Dartmouth sort of encourages you to do that. And just by the fact that a lot of these groups, different community groups, collaborate with each other on different projects. I think just recently we had a Dartmouth Asian organization culture night where they made a video about sort of diversity on campus, and we had to collaborate with different communities on campus. I think we collaborated with like a member of La Alianza, which is like the Hispanic community here. So there's a lot of chances for people to work together.
Yeah. So, do you guys want to talk about Greek life? Are you guys affiliated?
Say,
I'm not affiliated.
I'm unaffiliated, but I have a good number of friends who are affiliated, and it's kind of a mixed bag. Like, I'm thinking of two of my closest friends. One is Asian, she's Chinese, and she is affiliated, and the other one is also Chinese, and she's unaffiliated. So I don't think that you can just say, like, make a generalized broad stroke statement about Asian Americans and Greek life at Dartmouth. But I think it's one of those things where Greek life, I think, for some people, you know, is something they really want to pursue, but for some people, they really find a sense of community in other ways. So I'm thinking in particular of one of my friends who's really involved with the Korean Students Association, and I think because particularly the KSA is, I feel like a very closely knit community in a lot of ways. They kind of were like, well, I don't really know, I don't think I really need anything really much beyond that. And so people can take that approach, but some people can also say, well, I met my close friends, like this person in this group, and they're in these houses, so I'm thinking about maybe joining those houses. So I think maybe it can go either direction.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not affiliated either, and I did go through Rush and I tried it out, but I think for me it was more of I'm very social all on my own, so it was very I decided that it wasn't really worth it for me because I felt like I could make friends through other ways, and I was involved in so many other clubs already, and I was I have all these other things to focus on, and maybe this isn't best for me. But I have tons of friends who are Asian, who are South Asian, who are affiliated, and who love it, and it works for them. And I think it's a very individual thing, and you can't quite point and say Asians don't do this or Asians don't, it's hard.
It's really up to the person.
Get it. It's a very personal decision. It's a very personal journey. But just to speak to being unaffiliated on campus, I think a lot of people think that it might be very difficult because Greek life is so prevalent. But I feel like I've had an amazing time on campus. I have tons of friends, and I'm never bored, and I'm fine being unaffiliated on campus. I've never felt a need to be affiliated, and so I think, and Damaris is also unaffiliated. I think we both are very busy and very active.
The
on
schedule
campus.
is so tight anyway. I don't know how.
I feel we're both very active members of the Dartmouth community, and we're not we're not affiliated. And that's amazing, and I think that can happen. And so basically, your experience is what you make of it, and so you should not feel either way. You shouldn't feel forced to go either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw this one, so I guess I'll take the next one.
Sure.
Someone was asking about the government economics majors, and as someone who's a double major in both departments, I really think Dartmouth does a really great job in that area. Those departments are really strong, and the faculty are amazing. I'll give this one example. One professor is one of my favorites in the econ department, Professor Irwin. He teaches international trade. He's amazing. One day in class, straight up, this is honestly what happened. He was talking about India and how the trade restrictions really limited their potential for growth, and it really they were having such slow growth rates because of their autarky status. And so he was talking about it and talking about how it really made an impact on people's standards of living, and because he was so passionate about the impact of trade policy on people's lives and reduction of poverty, he actually started to tear up because out of his passion, and the whole class just froze, and we didn't know what to say, we didn't know what to do. It was incredible, and I think that just really that example speaks to me in terms of the dedication of the faculty here. But in regards to government economics, they go really, really hand in hand. There are a lot of people who are double majors or major and minor. The Rockefeller Center for Public Policy and the Social Sciences is a great resource. I was involved with, I'm still involved with them heavily, and my internship in my freshman summer was one that I got through there. So I applied and got civic skills training. It's a program that they have through there, and then I got funding to do an internship with the Smithsonian Office of Policy and Analysis, which is a great way to sort of get in DC and start to understand how that all works.
How hard was that for you to get that internship? Was it
Yeah, so they have this program called First Year Fellows, and a lot of people apply to that. I actually didn't get this through First Year Fellows, but it was sort of it was similar in that I don't know if I would have necessarily gotten that on my own had it not been for the Rockefeller Center. They have a lot of ties and sort of like connections to various places because of Dartmouth alumni being in different places, and they maintained very close relationships with them. So I had a mentor who was in DC and was a Dartmouth alum, and he sort of like helped me navigate that, and it's those sorts of ties that the Rockefeller Center sort of helps students make.
I feel like that goes all across the board. I know that question was about like government, but I feel like it's the same for like I'm pre-med, and so I like whenever I was looking for like off-turn internships or like things in like hospitals, like I'd like go through our like pre-med society here. The Nathan Smith Society actually has this entire handbook on like contacts that you can like make and like who you can talk to if you're looking for an off-term like internship. And I did this amazing like anesthesiology internship at like in hospitals. So I was literally like in an OR and got to like see all these pediatric surgeries, and like it was amazing and it was incredible. And the only reason I really got that was because it was like through a Dartmouth contact, and it was like it's like an established internship like on campus, and it's just like really cool. So I feel like it works all the way across. So I do see a question about sort of how small Dartmouth is and whether or not like we feel like that has like disadvantages. So what do you guys think? Have you ever felt that Dartmouth has been like too small?
I feel like that's what's deceiving about it, is that you look at the campus, you look at where it is, you look at the small town, and you think this is a really tiny place. Yeah. But there are so many connections to the outside world that it sometimes it feels like it's much larger than the average university. I've been on several. I'm going on several off study abroad experiences. I did one in Beijing. I'm about to do one in Scotland. I'm hoping to do one that the government department has in DC, where they put you in an internship while you take classes in DC, which is really fantastic. And everywhere I've been, whether I've been in Beijing or when I've traveled to Chicago or in everywhere I've been, there's always a Dartmouth alum that I'm able to meet up with to talk about just future job opportunities or just what they do there or what their experiences was like at the school.
Gavin, I know you're from New York City too, and so am I. So big city, very different, like very, very different. And I like honestly was one of those people who was very anti-small town before I got to Dartmouth, and I was like, oh gosh, like, you know, like I'm gonna like freak out because there's like nothing to do. But honestly, once you're on campus and like you become immersed, like you have your classes, you have your friends, like you find like the clubs and activities you're gonna do on campus, it like doesn't feel small at all because you're just so busy and like you're like so busy like living your life that you like don't like remember that like you have to like Hanover is like small and like it doesn't occur to you, and like even if you do feel like going out, like there are things to do, and like you can always like drive somewhere, and like there are like buses that like go out to like West Lebanon and like go out to other places, and so like you're not stuck here ever. So like I don't feel like I'm like trapped here ever. I
feel like there's always just so much going on. Like I'm really into the arts at Dartmouth because I'm in the Dartmouth Symphony Orchestra. There's so much at the Hopkins Center. It's like absurd. Like if you were just not taking classes for a term and you just decided, just this is a hypothetical, and you just had nothing really to do, you would still fill your schedule with stuff at the Hopkins Center like alone. And so like honestly, there's so much to do. And in terms of just what do you do when you're not in classes, like you're doing so much with your campus organizations, you're meeting up with friends, like you're making really cool connections. You're like there's so much to do. Like there's something always in the schedule. Like I don't think people are very bored. I don't think people are very bored here.
I don't come across very many people who are like bored or like I don't think that's an issue. But there's a lot of times like all these activities can be stressful. So what do you guys do when you're like stressed out? I know at least for me, like it's like easy to like take time off, and like especially in the spring it's so nice because you can just like go to the green and just like sit on the green. Something that I really like to do is like just like think about things or just like lie down and like forget about like all my like classwork and just like contemplate on just myself. And like I think something that's like really easy to do when it's really, really pretty in Hanover, like it's springtime, and like so I like sit in the green or like sit near the river, and like it's like really nice. So what do you guys do to sort of like de-stress?
I walk around Occam Pond, so there's this beautiful pond, and this is like why it's so great to go to Dartmouth. It's so beautiful, it's absurd. I walk around Occam Pond, and like a lot of runners go around there too, and it's just really, really nice. There's a DOC house, and I mean it's the pond that freezes and people go ice skating in the winter, but I just like walking around there, just generally walking around campus. I know one of my really good friends, and a couple of my good friends are very involved with the DOC, and so when they're starting to get stressed, they'll take just go take a hike. Like literally, they'll just get in a car, and they'll go get the backpack and the hiking some boots and he'll go take a hike.
But I think like working out is always like a really good idea too. But I feel like a lot of my friends, like when they get really stressed out, they like take some time off, like go to the gym, like work out, like get better, feel better, a lot better, and like come back and like do whatever, like take on whatever they were trying to take on before.
Yeah.
It's just nice just to hang out.
Yeah, and we have an amazing gym as well. So
We do.
that's like really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, yes. Oh, this is actually a really funny question because it's about like drinking and like whether or
drinking
not
at
you
Dartmouth.
feel like drinking is like necessary. I don't drink. I've never drank like anything, and like I think I've had like a very full and like rich Dartmouth experience. And like I've gone out, I've like gone to dance parties and had a great time. I've gone to frats and like and it's like my boyfriend is a frat member, and like I've never like drank anything. I've never felt like I had to. No one's ever like pressured me into it. So I think it's completely possible. I have friends who also have never drank anything, and I have friends who do drink a lot. And like I have like a very varied group of friends, and I've never really felt pressure to do it. And I think it's completely possible to get through your Dartmouth career and like not drink if that's what you feel like it. And it doesn't really even matter like what your reasonings are. Like I have people who like there are people who don't drink for religious reasons, people who like personally don't feel comfortable, and like I think I've come across like people who feel that way for all these reasons.
Right.
I mean, I spoke on a panel during orientation this past fall about being someone who doesn't drink at Dartmouth. And I mean, like Shmuel, like I don't drink, and I made that decision for a good number of reasons. But people all have their own reasons, and I think because Dartmouth students are aware that people don't drink for various reasons, it's okay. I think occasionally though. Sometimes if you go into certain settings, like certain places, and people know that you do drink, so if you're not a complete abstainer, I mean, sometimes if you're saying like, I really don't know if I want to drink that much tonight, sometimes people will be like, oh, come, we'll play a game of pong, and then they'll sort of try to like wind you into it. But I don't think that there's ever a time where that's like overbearing. I think it's all up to very much up to the individual. I think it's just sort of like if you don't want to drink that much that night, you don't have to drink that much that night.
I feel like it's all about like being able to like choose or like having like alternatives to what those scenes are. And I feel like through my experience at Dartmouth, I think I've been able to find those alternatives. Like I like watch movies with my friends, or like hang out and have like a different sort of party where like people aren't all drinking. So it's like it's all about finding those alternatives and making them for yourself. I think.
Meeting the people who will make you comfortable in whatever decision you make. Honestly, it's all about the people that you surround yourself with at Dartmouth, and your comfort levels will largely be guided by the people that you choose to spend your time with.
Yeah.
It's all about choice.
So are there opportunities for people to get involved with performing arts?
Oh, without prior experience. Well, I mean, for the Dartmouth Symphony Orchestra, at least, it's really competitive, and so I don't think if you didn't play violin very much in high school that it will really work out. But there are other opportunities for sure. I mean, some people take lessons for the first time.
No, but I think there are a lot. So there's actually this really cool thing. So you have to take 3 PE credits. You have to have 3 PE credits while you're here to graduate, and a lot of the dance groups actually offer the ability to dance with them and practice with them, and you get PE credit for that, but also like you can get good enough to like audition and like be a part of their dance group. So you can potentially perform with the dance groups. I know Vandana, which is the South Asian dance group, does this a lot where they like blitz out to the campus and they're like, like you can come and dance with us, no prior experience necessary. So there are definitely performance groups where you can go and like join, and they'll teach you and they'll like help you.
Yeah.
I believe during sophomore summer too, some of the dance groups have smaller versions.
Oh, it's so much fun. I was part of Sheba Light.
Yeah, so Sheba is like the hip hop group on campus. So they have Sheba Light, which allows people with like less experience to like dance with them over the summer and perform. So there are definitely opportunities, and like you can definitely learn also if you feel like that's necessary. So yes, like just to like round everything out, like I guess we could talk about what are the like reasons like for coming to Dartmouth were. Yeah. So why did you guys like choose Dartmouth? Is there like anything that kind of stands out?
All right, I'll start, I guess. I chose Dartmouth for a couple of reasons. The first being the professors, right? I feel like as soon as I understood and like was really getting from people the dedication and sort of the commitment to teaching that the professors here have, I was basically sold. Like I knew that I didn't want to go to a place where I wouldn't make real connections with my professors. I really, really wanted to have that close relationship, and that happens here. The second thing is that I feel like people here really are very much like leaders in a lot of ways, and you see that in like the sense of leadership on campus and different campus communities. Students really get involved with campus different like campus issues and other general broader issues here, and they get really involved and they're dedicated to that. And the third thing is that I love nature. I love being apart from the sort of like city like mentality. I think like think about it, like you're probably going to spend a lot of your life in a city. For a lot of people, they're going to spend a lot of time in a city after graduation, so like why not take some time and like pull yourself away from that and like just have this great experience at his college. I don't know.
Yeah, so for me it was kind of similar. Initially, like, I really liked Dartmouth because of the size. Like, it's so small, and I felt like it was very less overwhelming, and I feel like it's like conducive to like having a community. So like I like walk down like the street and I like know so many people that I know. It's like really nice and comforting for me to know that I have friends like where I'm going, and I like recognize people everywhere that I am, and it's like nice for me to know that, and it's really comforting. And so like that's why I chose Dartmouth. And also just like I feel like Dartmouth, in terms of its atmosphere, like academic atmosphere, like everyone here is like incredibly intelligent and everyone like wants to do well, but there isn't that sort of stereotypical like competitiveness or like cutthroat like competitiveness.
You don't see people ripping out notes from other people's pages.
It's not like that at all, and people are incredibly supportive. And like it's so nice to not be in an environment like that, and like I just find it so relaxing, and like because it's already stressful. You know, academics can be stressful all on their own, and so like there's no need for that environment. And the third thing is like so I'm a neuroscience major, and like the professors here are amazing. One of my neuroscience professors, who I actually did research with, Bradley Duchesne, is like the leading expert on like facial recognition things, and it's amazing. Every textbook we ever use is like written by him, and it's like, this is incredible. Like our profs are like just like world renowned, like just people that like everyone wants to be taught by, and like we're actually learning from them, so it's amazing. I think that's like what really sealed the deal for me.
Definitely. And I was enamored by sort of the study abroad options that are here. We're in a small town, but the opportunities that they give you to study abroad and still get Dartmouth credits, it really got me into it. I was talking with, the first time I came during Dimensions, the students, when they admitted students come during the weekend, I was talking with someone who had went to Beijing and had this sort of like personal revelation about who he was and his personal identity, and I really wanted to have that experience while getting credit for my studies here. And that's what really got me into this place.
Yeah. So I guess like we all had like really good reasons for joining Dartmouth. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope we answered a lot of your questions. And our next chat will be starting in about 10 minutes, and we'll actually be discussing Dimensions, which is coming up really soon, and which is really exciting for everyone. And it's the admitted students visiting weekend. So congratulations on being accepted, and we look forward to seeing you, hopefully.
Hopefully we'll see you.
Yeah, definitely come.